Hello, Internet, and welcome to the SwirlyCast, the only audio show that can be enjoyed by humans and yokai alike, and it's the subject of stealing your cake! I'm sorry that I had to steal your cake like that. It just looks so good. Uh, um... I feel bad now. Right. I am your host, Komasan. I'm excited to spend a few minutes out of your day to coming out, and with formalities out of the way, what is on the mind today? We are heading back to my childhood with the very first Kirby game that I ever played and did a full LP on the channel. We are talking about Kirby Squeak Squad. Now, Kirby Squeak Squad is a very special game to me because, like I mentioned, it's my very first Kirby game. I think I mentioned this during the LP itself back a couple years ago, but hey, it's a game that I hold really dear to my heart. We're talking about it yet again, and this won't be the first time that an LP project will be a subject for an episode on the show. But aside from that, yeah, Squeak Squad. What is so special about this game that kind of made it a cult classic amongst the Kirby fan base? It's very simplistic. It has a lot of elements taken from Amazing Mirror, which that makes sense since the original devs of Amazing Mirror came back to do this game. And, it looks great, it sounds great, it has a bunch of original villains. What more could you want? I mean, the whole kitchen sink, but, I guess that's asking too much. But anyway, let's go over this game one by one and let's talk about why I love it so much. So what is the story of Kirby and the elusive Squeak Squad? It starts off with Kirby enjoying the favorite time of day, snack time, with an absolutely gorgeous looking piece of cake that I had to steal. Or I guess a mysterious figure needed to steal because plot. Kirby suspects that obviously since this is related to food and considering that, he has a history with it, Dedede is obviously the culprit, and he storms off to his castle to figure out just what the crud is going on. It turns out Dedede was completely innocent, and Kirby could have just got charged with breaking and entering. Rated E for everyone. Then suddenly, out of nowhere, the Squeak Squad show up. Dedede decides, Kirby, I'm gonna use you as a bowling ball, and he yates them at the Squeak Squad after making way with a bunch of treasure, and Kirby falls into the caverns below, and now he must stop the Squeak Squad and recover his stolen piece of shortcake. Considering that we just talked about Among Us, I'm very surprised that we were able to get a story done just like that, because there really wasn't any story in Among Us. But hey, we all like talking about story, so let's get into gameplay now, because gameplay is most important. As I mentioned before, this is running on the same engine that Amazing Mirror is on, because it was made by the same folks who did that game, Flagship, which is a subsidiary of Capcom, believe it or not. They also did the Zelda Game Boy Color and the Game Boy Advance titles, so hey, good stuff. So what makes Squeak Squad stand out amongst this kin and being a pretty unique game all on its own? It's fairly standard Kirby fare. You go from left to right, you go from stages, you got copy abilities, you got new ones, you got old ones returning, you got new things added to them like Amazing Mirror did, and you just do the thing. So what makes it stand out? Well, treasure, or the booty, a pirate. There isn't a pirate ability. I really wish there was a pirate ability. I just thought of it right now. I'll have to discuss it with my friends. This will be a fun discussion. But, yeah, we're not pirates. We are thieves, and we have to steal all of the treasure that is hidden in the stages. Getting the treasure is actually fairly easy to do, and once you get all three, you complete the stage. You don't have to actually get the treasure in order to finish the stage. That's just for 100% completion. And in the treasure chest is a bunch of really, really good loot, such as extra heart pieces, ability scrolls that give your abilities new, abilities, spray paints for your Kirby's, a bunch of other stuff too. In the golden chests that'll feature these 5 stars are actually plot important, and you probably can't miss them. The big chests are usually at the end of the stage and usually have you dealing with one of the 3 major squeaks, those being Spinny, Storo, and Duck. Each of them have their own distinct things. You could either fight them, or you could just completely ignore them. You don't have to fight them in order to finish the stage, but if you want all that treasure, you're gonna have to square up with them. And that's pretty neat. I like that these things are consistent mini bosses throughout the story, and there's actually pretty creative ways of dealing with them or just running away from them altogether. It's fun, it's frantic, and their theme absolutely slaps. And there's so many good tracks in the game, but we're not talking about the music, we're talking about other stuff. We might as well go ahead and discuss the end game whilst we're here because we have already seen it if you saw the LP, but just gonna warn you right now, we're gonna be going into spoiler territory. I know spoilers in a Kirby game. I mean, really, really weird to say, but it's just if you want to play the game blind for yourself, if you haven't seen this cult classic for itself. But after getting all the 5-star doors and making your way through the 6th world of the game and fighting the leader of the Squeak Star Roach, suddenly Meta Knight comes out of nowhere, steals the chest, and he makes off to the 7th world Secret Sea. After beating him up in like an airship or something, Star Roach comes back and he actually gets absorbed by the thing that was actually inside the chest, holding one of the Dark Power, Dark Nebula. And it's up to you to just make it off to space, and you gotta face off with the Squeaks once again. This is one of the only stages where you actually have to fight the Squeaks in order to actually progress, but hey, that's just whatever it is. Eventually, you find yourself at the end of the line and fighting Dark Daroach, which is one of the most awesome bosses in the entire series, if you ask me. With a pretty fun fight, if I do say so myself. And you find yourself dealing with Dark Nebula with the final ability, the Triple Star. And Dark Nebula is a pretty underwhelming conclusion to the story. But at the end of the game, you get your Strawberry Shortcake back, and once you finish the fight, you can go back and do whatever you want. Good stuff all around. There is also a couple of other things that I didn't actually mention during the main LP itself that I do want to bring up here in case any of you were curious about them and you didn't actually know about all that. So I guess we'll consider this an addendum to the spoiler section. So we'll add on to it once we're going through here. So what else is there to do with Kirby Squeak Squad aside from hunting for treasure chests and beating up Squeaks and getting all the extra goodies out of it? Well, after getting all most of the treasure chests, you'll be able to get most of the extra rewards. Like I mentioned before, there's the spray paints, there's the extra heart pieces, but there's also a brand new exclusive ability to this game, Ghost. And the Ghost ability is unlocked after gaining all 8 pieces of the Ghost Medal. And then the Ghost mini boss will be appearing in most of the stages in the game, and after you beat it, you'll be able to inhale it and get the elusive Ghost ability, which allows you to take control of enemies. Fun concept, but it was a pretty flawed execution, but hey, at least it's very cool, and I hope the Ghost ability does come back in a future game, because it does deserve to come back, because it's a pretty fun concept, and I really wish that there was more done with it. There is also 3 different sub-games that are actually accessible at the beginning of the game, and one that has to be unlocked at the end. The 3 ones that are unlocked at the start involve you fighting with the 3 Squeak Generals, again, Storo, Spinny, and Doc. Each of them involved a touchscreen in some way, shape, or form, which again, DS, early launch title, all that other stuff had to be mandatory. And, it's very interesting. These mini games are very fun. I think Spinny's might be my favorite out of the bunch. So, no offense to Storo, but it's just kind of a reflex test and nothing more. And Doc is pretty much just a scratch test. You have to fling a bunch of pink balls at it by drawing lines toward the treasure chest that you want. Not particularly fun, but Spinny's is the one that I can actually say is really good. And the other one that's actually unlocked at the end of the game is Boss Endurance Mode, which is essentially just a boss rush. You pick a copy ability, you pick a bunch of other stuff, you get 1 use of a Maximum Tomato in the bottom of the inventory, and you're off you go. You gotta fight all the major bosses in the game, all on 1 heart. If you died, and you're starting right back from the beginning. This is pretty much the arena. And you all know that I like the arena. In Boss Endurance Mode, is the arena. Although it doesn't really have the same impact because, it doesn't have an exclusive track and there isn't as many bosses that are fightable. Like, you can't fight the mini bosses or something like that, which I think is kind of a shame considering that it was a series trope giving at that point, considering that, Superstar was a thing. But, I can't be too wishy-washy about it. I'm happy that a mode like that was even included in the first place, considering that it didn't, because I don't think it happened in Amazing Mirror. And I'm certainly happy that it wasn't the bad one that was in Kirby's Adventure, so good stuff all around. And that's what Kirby Squeak Squad is, just good stuff all around. And the music. Oh my god! Sublime. I hope one of you guys got that reference. But yeah, Kirby Squeak Squad is a great game. I love it to bits. There's a reason why it is in my top 5 Kirby games, if not top 3, because not only am I very nostalgic for this game, but that may cloud my vision a little bit, but like I don't really care. It's just a really solidly built 2D platformer, and I really recommend anyone who hasn't played this game who is a Kirby fan give the game a shot. It's actually on Wii U Virtual Console for anyone who still owns their game, and it's a pretty good way of playing through the game. Sure, some things may be very basic, but like, who cares? It's a fun Kirby game, and if you like fun and you like Kirby games, what's not to like? And I think that's actually a pretty good way of wrapping up the episode, I do declare. I recommend playing through this game. It's fun, it's very colorful, the sprite works pretty good, it's got some great music, it's got awesome copy abilities, aside from Metal. I think we can all agree that one is awful. It's a fun time. It is especially a great Kirby game if you're into completionist aspects, because all the treasure chests, they're lined up, and if you can get them all, you can complete the game. It's actually pretty easy to do so, and I actually really recommend playing through this game as a completionist run. It's fun, it's frantic, it'll definitely give you a bit of a challenge, but hey, I like challenge, I like fun. That's Kirby Squeak Squad. So, with all of that said, and my opinions out of the window, this has been Koma, and my friends, fellow viewers, and camaraderies alike, thank you for tuning into this episode of the SwirlyCast. Until next time, bye bye! Okay, I'm sorry for stealing your shortcake. I'll give it back now.